The old jeep rumbled down the dusty road, its occupants a symphony of youthful exuberance. Laughter spilled out of the open windows, mixing with the wind rushing through their hair. Mark, the driver, drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Beside him, Emily, ever the planner, clutched a map, her gaze darting between the faded lines and the unfamiliar landscape. In the back, Lily, her infectious giggle echoing in the air, jostled playfully with Chris and Ashley, their camaraderie palpable. They were college friends, bound by shared dreams and a thirst for adventure. This weekend, their adventure had led them to Blackwood Forest. The plan was simple: escape the confines of their campus, immerse themselves in nature, and create memories that would last a lifetime. Camping under the stars, sharing stories around a crackling fire, relishing the freedom that came with being young and wild. These were the ingredients of their perfect getaway. Blackwood Forest, with its promise of untouched beauty and secluded tranquility, seemed like the ideal destination. Little did they know the forest held secrets dark and sinister, secrets that whispered on the wind, waiting to be unearthed. As they delved deeper into the forest, the air grew heavy, a palpable tension settling over the group. The playful banter that had filled the air earlier now faded into an uneasy silence, each step forward amplifying their sense of foreboding. The trees, once welcoming sentinels, now loomed over them like ancient guardians, their branches intertwining to create a canopy so dense that sunlight struggled to penetrate, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. The forest floor, carpeted in fallen leaves, muffled their footsteps, amplifying the sense of isolation. Each rustle of leaves underfoot seemed to echo in the stillness, a reminder of their solitude. The change in atmosphere was subtle yet undeniable, like an unspoken warning whispered on the breeze. The gentle rustling of leaves now carried an eerie undertone, as if the forest itself was trying to communicate with them. At a crossroads marked by a weather-beaten signpost, they stopped to ask for directions. The signpost, worn and barely legible, seemed to point in all directions, and none adding to their growing sense of unease. A lone gas station stood on the edge of the forest, its paint peeling, its windows grimy. It looked like it had been abandoned for years, yet a faint light flickered inside, suggesting otherwise. The attendant, a man weathered by time and hardship, eyed them with suspicion as they approached. His eyes, dark and piercing, seemed to hold secrets of their own. When they mentioned their camping trip, a flicker of fear crossed his features, his gaze lingering on Lily for a moment too long. It was as if he knew something they didn't, something that made him wary of their plans. "Stay away from the Blackwood house," he rasped, his voice hoarse and filled with an urgency that demanded attention. "Some things are best left undisturbed," he added, his words hanging in the air like a dark omen. His warning, delivered with such conviction, sent a shiver down their spines. The gravity of his words was impossible to ignore, and a sense of dread settled over the group. Intrigued and slightly unnerved, they pressed him for details, their youthful curiosity outweighing their apprehension. They wanted to know more about this mysterious house and the stories that surrounded it. He spoke of a grand old house, hidden deep within the forest, its history steeped in tragedy and despair. The house, once a symbol of opulence, now stood as a monument to sorrow and loss. Locals whispered of restless spirits, of unexplained occurrences, of a malevolence that clung to the very air within its walls. The stories were numerous and varied, but all shared a common thread of fear and unease. The house, he warned, was cursed, a place where darkness lingered and nightmares came to life. It was said that those who entered never left the same, if they left at all. The group exchanged worried glances, the weight of the attendant's words sinking in. They debated their next move, torn between their sense of adventure and the ominous warning they had just received. Despite their fear, their curiosity won out. With a mix of trepidation and determination, they decided to continue their journey, eager to uncover the secrets of the Blackwood house. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the path grew darker, the trees closing in around them. The sense of foreboding grew stronger with each step, but they pressed on, driven by a need to know the truth. The forest seemed to come alive around them, the whispers of the wind carrying faint, indistinguishable voices. The atmosphere grew more unsettling, as if the forest itself was aware of their presence and was watching their every move. Finally, Through the dense foliage, they caught sight of the house. It stood in the distance, shrouded in mist, its decaying facade a testament to the passage of time and the weight of its dark history. They approached the house with a mix of awe and trepidation, the stories they had heard echoing in their minds. The air around the house felt different, heavier, as if it carried the weight of countless untold stories. With a deep breath, they reached for the door handle, the old wood creaking under their touch. As the door slowly opened, a sense of anticipation and dread filled the air, marking the beginning of their journey into the unknown. Despite the unsettling encounter, the friends couldn't resist the allure of the unknown. The forest, with its dense canopy and whispering leaves, seemed to beckon them deeper into its mysterious embrace. The existence of a haunted house, dismissed as mere folklore by some, ignited a spark of adventurous curiosity within them. Stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena only fueled their desire to uncover the truth. They convinced themselves that the locals' fears were nothing more than superstition, their imaginations fueled by generations of tall tales. Laughter and jokes masked their underlying apprehension as they brushed off any lingering doubts. After all, what harm could there be in simply taking a look? Their confidence grew with each step, bolstered by the camaraderie and the thrill of the adventure. Following the old man's directions, they ventured deeper into the heart of Blackwood Forest. The path became less distinct, overgrown with brambles and underbrush, but they pressed on, driven by a mix of curiosity and determination. The sun began its descent, casting long, eerie shadows that danced and twisted between the trees. The forest seemed to come alive in the twilight, every rustle and creak amplified in the growing darkness. The air grew colder, the silence broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant caw of a crow. The forest's usual sounds seemed to fade away, replaced by an eerie stillness that sent shivers down their spines. Just as the last rays of sunlight were fading, they stumbled upon it, the Blackwood house. It loomed before them, a dark silhouette against the dusky sky. Its presence both foreboding and fascinating. It stood at the end of an overgrown path, a once grand mansion now fallen into disrepair. The path itself seemed to resist their approach, as if nature was trying to reclaim the land from the encroaching darkness. Its walls, once pristine white, were now a canvas of peeling paint and creeping ivy. The ivy twisted and turned, almost as if it were alive, slowly strangling the life out of the old structure. The windows, most of them boarded shut, were like vacant eyes, staring out at them with an unnerving intensity. Each window seemed to hold a story, a glimpse into the past that was both intriguing and terrifying. The roof sagged in places, as if the weight of its own history was slowly crushing it. The once majestic structure now seemed to bow under the burden of time, its grandeur reduced to a haunting memory. An oppressive silence hung over the house, broken only by the creaking of the wind through the skeletal branches of the surrounding trees. The house seemed to breathe with the wind, its old bones groaning in protest against the encroaching night. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their earlier bravado waning in the face of the house's eerie presence. They hesitated, gathering their courage before taking the final steps towards the mansion. With a collective deep breath, they stepped onto the creaky porch, the wood groaning under their weight. The front door loomed before them, its once grand entrance now a gateway to the unknown. Their faces, a mix of anxiety and determination, reflected the gravity of the moment. They were on the brink of uncovering the secrets of the Blackwood house, a journey that would test their resolve and courage. With a final push, the door creaked open, revealing the dark interior of the mansion. They stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the vast, empty space as the house seemed to welcome them into its shadowy embrace. A mixture of excitement and nervous energy filled the air as the group of friends gathered at the edge of the forest. They had heard the stories, the legends of the old house that lay hidden within the trees, and tonight they had decided to uncover the truth for themselves. Apprehension mingled with their excitement, creating a palpable tension that seemed to grow with each passing moment. The house was said to be haunted, a place where the past lingered and the spirits of those long gone still roamed. As they cautiously approached the house, their footsteps seemed to echo louder than they should. The crunch of leaves underfoot, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that surrounded them. The house loomed ahead, its silhouette dark and foreboding against the night sky. Mark, ever the daredevil, bounded ahead, eager to be the first one through the door. His friends called after him, their voices tinged with both amusement and concern, but he paid them no mind. The thrill of the unknown was too enticing to resist. The rest of the group followed at a more cautious pace, their apprehension growing with each step they took. They exchanged nervous glances, each one silently questioning whether this adventure was worth the fear that gnawed at their insides. The air around the house seemed to grow colder, a damp, almost suffocating cold that seeped into their bones. It was as if the house itself was exuding a chill, a cold embrace that wrapped around them and refused to let go. The front door, its paint cracked and blistered, hung precariously from its hinges. It looked as though a single gust of wind could send it crashing to the ground, yet it stood, a silent guardian to the secrets within. Mark, with a mischievous grin, gave it a push, and it creaked open with a groan that echoed through the stillness of the forest. The sound was almost deafening in the quiet, a stark reminder of the isolation that surrounded them. The interior of the house was shrouded in an almost tangible darkness, the air thick with the smell of decay and something faintly sweet like rotting flowers. It was a scent that spoke of neglect, of time passing and memories fading. As they stepped inside, the temperature plummeted, and the hairs on the back of their necks stood on end. It was as if they had crossed a threshold into another world, a world where the past and present coexisted in a fragile balance. The main hall stretched before them, dimly lit by the fading light filtering through the grimy windows. The walls were lined with old faded wallpaper, peeling at the edges and revealing the bare wood beneath. Dust motes danced in the air, catching the faint rays of sunlight and creating an ethereal, almost otherworldly glow. It was a beautiful, haunting sight, a reminder of the life that once filled these rooms. A heavy silence hung in the air, broken only by the sound of their own breathing and the pounding of their hearts. Each creak of the floorboards, each rustle of the wind outside seemed amplified in the stillness. They could hear the faintest of whispers coming from the shadows that clung to the edges of the room, whispers that seemed to beckon them deeper into the house's embrace. It was as if the house itself was alive, watching, waiting, and whispering secrets of the past to those who dared to listen.